When it comes to EVE Online, every player wants to know the most effective tactic available. You want to know the meta. The meta controls everything. It determines what will and will not happen. Knowing the meta will alter your views, make you question your reality. It might even make you laugh. And now, you're part of it. You're watching The Meta Show.
Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us for this week's episode of The Meta Show. And as the title implies, looks to be there's going to be a new region in EVE Online, but we'll talk about that later. Before we get into that, we've got some other stuff maybe to go through here. One thing I'd like to point out, Dave, I've been having a lot of fun in LowSec. I don't know if you've been in LowSec
Is
lately.
there a lot going? I don't really go into LowSec.
There is a lot going on. We had some good brawls there in Amamake yesterday. I know I took a fleet out and we started my fleet. I fed probably like 20 Corm Navies, got bombed in LowSec, which because corruption 5, it basically turns it into nullsec. And then we just continue the night and just like wrap the kill board. So LowSec's been popping off, a lot of fun out there. Who ran for whom? Nobody really ran. It was just the different FAC war groups going at it, shooting each other. So if you're getting a little bored, maybe where you're at, because I don't see any big stuff. We had the big fight with Tess here over there, Keepstar. I don't know what else is going on in Null. Come by, say hi. I'm thinking about everybody potentially doing like some kind of, I know for those of you who are in the Imperium, you might not be able to join, but doing some kind of NPSI, Corm Navy fleet, that kind of thing, roaming around and seeing what frags we can get. Dave, can we get permission from the Imperium overlords to let Keith join Keith's NPSI fleet?
You would have to ask Zintage or someone like that.
We've had Zintage on the show though, so we've had Zintage.
I mean, I'm not going to say it's approved, but nobody notices if it don't go in game face, do they?
We're gonna bring Zintage on the show and we're gonna talk to him and we're gonna be like, hey Zintage, let's permission denied. Your friends. Why is permission denied? Why is it denied? It'll be fun. It'd be fun to have like. Also, something else to say. This is breaking news, and I found out today, by the way, Dave. Did you know Spectre Fleet is closing down?
No, I didn't. I been a bit busy this last week with being unwell and losing my job because of it. So I didn't know that.
Yeah, we can't shoot blues is probably why it would work. Yeah, no, we wouldn't. I would try to stay away from that. There's plenty of other things to shoot. However, on the Spectre Fleet issue there, yeah, Spectre Fleet is coming to. Looks like they're closing their doors. They're gonna have a big brawl here. Exactly. See, there's ways around it. You can shoot them with your spy. We're gonna have a big brawl here. From what I heard on March 28th, I'm not too sure the details. I'm sure there's a ping in Spectre Fleet's Discord if you're a part of that. You want to go join on that. There's going to be a final free-for-all brawl per se at the end of the month. So Spectre Fleet is unfortunately, it seems like, closing their doors. I don't know some version of it. I think it's Viron, Dave, who's like stepping away for a bit. But I don't know if somebody else is going to take up that mantle, that kind of thing. And I think Bomber's Bar is still around, right?
Yeah, they're still about.
Yeah.
Not as active as you used to see them, at least not in our space. So.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, Kane, like they Spectre Fleet was always fun, especially for those new players joining and they didn't know where to go. But on the new player experience, Dave, that is what we're going to spend most of our time talking about today is the new player experience in EVE Online. Not totally the new player experience. I think more high sec and newer players. I don't want to get into, I haven't done the new player experience and I haven't touched that in forever. I know it's changed a lot for those new players.
It has definitely changed quite a bit.
It has. And one of the things CCP Kane, and if you want to put this up on the screen, the message from CCP, if you are a Hobo Leaks aficionado, I'm not, but I like to hear and find out what goes on. Hobo Leaks if you want to follow along and take a look at yourself, there is a recent Hobo Leaks that added systems in the game, and then CCP put up a note to it and said, hey, this is like our new, we added 53 systems in the game. They're not yet part of the server, that kind of thing. We can't get to them yet. We don't know exactly what they are. We can have an idea. If you go into Hobo Leaks, you can look at the names of some of those and see like, oh, what kind of, names do we got out there, and have an idea, maybe speculate yourself. But I believe, Dave, correct me if I'm wrong, CCP says in these, this is for new players. Is that correct?
Yeah. As you can see on the screen, it says for the new player experience. But what's interesting is some of the names of the systems. Well, what I'd gather the names of the systems you see on Hobo Leaks, because you've got Federation Free Zone, the Crucible, which if it was a new player experience, if I was going to make a system where you could fight, that's what I'd call it. And just a few others, but it may give some insight into what they're doing there.
Yeah, and I don't know if I don't think these are all names. I think these are like mission names they're adding, like a change in plan, proven loyalty, starbase smashing. Sounds like we're trying to help new players, and as Kane's alluding to, there may be some SP requirement, but we're gonna talk a little bit about that. But the current new player experience, Dave, how familiar are you with that?
A little bit. I've played it a bit. It's basically a tutorial. Then you just run down the epic arcs. So my boyfriend, I believe, just burnt himself on a hot glue gun.
Good job. Well, he's got to be careful.
But yeah, you just run down the epic arcs. Give me 1 second.
Yeah. So we run down the epic arcs while Dave does quick EMT activities, combat lifesaver, whatever you want to call it. For those in the military, know what a combat lifesaver, you go to combat lifesaver training, and tries to address his significant other from burning themselves. Yeah, no, 100%. The new player experience has been, it's definitely changed, because I'm pretty sure it used to be when I started the game, you got like, hey, don't undock anything you can't afford, and you're on your own. And I remember the first time somebody told me, they're like, hey, Keith, yeah, you just go to, that's right, rip AJ's fingers. You just go to Jita. And I was like, how the heck do you get to Jita? And I think that's always been one of the biggest roadblocks, one of the biggest challenges on coming into EVE Online, is how does CCP bridge that learning curve? Because EVE, there's that age old meme track, Kane, if you can find it, where it shows the cliff and people just falling off when it compares to other MMOs. And it's always been tough coming into EVE Online and learning the game. And there's a lot of HiSec is probably, hey, welcome back, Dave. HiSec is probably honestly one of the most dangerous parts of the game, because the mechanics in HiSec are a little convoluted, right, Dave? Like I don't know what you think, but I hate going to HiSec.
Yeah, it's quite actually irritating, to be honest with you. Just because it's just really tedious. I'm going to be honest with you. Quite annoying and tedious.
There it is.
I think if they made an area for new players and then scaled back some of the HiSec stuff, because in my opinion, if you're new, being completely safe or the illusion of completely safe, it's fine. But, and I say this every time to the people that complain about HiSec ganking, this is a game that revolves around fighting. Whether you do industry or whatnot, your life revolves around people fighting. So there should be nowhere, other than maybe for new players, kind of like on RuneScape and Tutorial Island, where you are safe.
Yeah, I go ahead.
That's pretty much the gist of my thing.
I'd love to see and hear. And actually, Dave, I think next week what we'll do is we'll have I've got some people that want to come on next week and talk about mercenary work. I think it's funny they call it mercenary work, and a lot of it's in just shooting people's crap in HiSec, whatever it may be. But mercenary work, and then some ganking, because this is Motor. I think you're absolutely right. Burn Jita is always fun, that kind of thing. But I think it's I wonder what this does. Like, if depending on what these systems do, like the feelings of gankers and that kind of thing, do gankers primarily prey on new players? Because I know they don't just shoot new players. If you're hauling freighters, especially in the old Gita MR pipe, they would gank plenty of freighters there. It didn't matter how old the character was or whatever it may be. And I know it still happens in, I think there's a low sec system people have to go through now. But no, or it's a 0.5 system they still have to go through. It's just longer. So yeah, like I'm really curious, like as far as if you move a new player population into these high sec systems, does it impact ganking? And we can talk about that next week. But I think more importantly is as far as we speculate on, okay, yeah, this is for new players. What other guardrails do you think you will see on that, Dave?
Well, I personally think there should be a time limit to when you should be in there. Because on the note of ganking, most of the people you see getting ganked are generally in ships that are worth the risk for the gankers, which means they've played for a bit and they've actually got their skills up to fly those ships, things like even barges or whatnot. So they're not really new players, the people you generally gank, because a new player wouldn't really have a ship worth you putting the effort in. But I would love to see a limit on how long you can be in there. It would be pointless to put a space in Eve that is completely safe, that you can stay there forever and live out your life in. So that the inability to then return to that place. So you can't just be like, I'm going to pop out, do something, and then I'm going to go back to my little hidey hole.
Yeah.
And just some structure in there to lead people through it. Some lore. Lore and RP stuff actually is a good idea. Inside the region, just to guide new people. Because at the moment, you get dumped out and you're running around actual systems doing mission, which isn't really guiding you through the game. Whereas if they had a structured thing to actually demonstrate the different aspects of the game, including things like low sec and null sec, like at least tell you about them, it might be better.
Yeah. Dr. Spodmium said it is a one-way exit. He also, or she, forgive me if it's not specified, but the also laid out the layout of this space with 9 constellations entirely locked out of the rest of the game. 4 constellations, one of each for each faction, 4 in an inner ring, and then 1 central constellation. All right, thank you for clearing that up, Dr. Spabian. Sir, I will say, quick question though. It sounds like you have more information than the rest of us. I would be curious if you're willing to let us share with us. As well as chat master. All right, cool. I'm glad we have that articulation there in chat. But where do you know that this breakup and how that breakup works? Love to hear like where you're getting that information from and that kind of thing from that standpoint. If that's the case, that makes he's just the note. You can see the layout in the game. You know what? Forgive me for even asking at that point. It's like I didn't even bother looking at the Eve map to see if it was in the game. So apologies on that. So what's that, Dave?
Launching Eve real quick.
Look, Dave's gonna go pull up the map for us there. But no, you do have to do some tricks, but it is possible. Look at that. Known hacker, as that toxic guy says in chat. So apparently Spodmium, he's got the intel for us. But it is a breakdown, which makes sense that it's broken into 4 constellations for each faction because you can pick a faction. I'd be interested to see like what does that mean picking your faction has some kind of impact or whatever. All right, I appreciate it, Doctor. So I think it's probably some thing you have to opt into. Who knows? And then the other thing is to this is like how much SP. Yeah, that makes sense. How much SP does like a player get in this space? How much is there? Is it one way makes sense, and I think we can all assume that it's one way. It could be, yeah. And I know there's been updates to FAC War and that kind of thing, but what I don't know if this is going to be the case, but it'd be interesting to see like if you're an alpha, make an alpha account that you have to go through this whole experience in an X, Y, and Z number of days. That would kill Dave, like what alpha accounts are used for now, right? If you forced every alpha account into that space. Or
yeah, I mean, I don't think you should force them to stay in that space personally, because people. I know people that play in nullsec and even venture out into null on an alpha account. So I think it'd be harmful if they were forced to stay there, but it'd be a good place to get your feet wet.
Yeah. I'm not logged into Eve right now, but I was on earlier with guys, but I usually log out when I get on here to save resources. But Kane, do you have like a character he can mail you the link or whatever so you can bring up the new map there? Be cool if you want to comment in the chat there and work with Mr. Spobby and we can show our viewers what this looks like. We're just going to replace Kane with Dr. Spobby and he's going to be our new producer. I'm just kidding. I wouldn't do that to you, Kane. I love you deep down inside.
Deep.
That's right. That's right. Deep down inside. No, it does smell very faction warfare. And I wonder if this base is going to also have some impacts with the lore, because we know we saw the Galente president was impeached. Is that right? Or stepped down or something? I think it was, Dave. I don't know if you remember.
I don't follow law, so I'm not actually that sure.
Oh, Dave doesn't follow. He's not a real true Eve. He's just here to kick people's sandcastles over. There you go. You flip the map upside down. I don't even know how to flip the map upside down, man.
You I remember how you...
I don't know how to get around in Eve. Like, I'll live in a certain part of space. I live in... Zoom in on the old map. There you go. Left click and drag. Thank you, man. I've been playing Eve for like 12 years. Okay, so I promise this isn't new to me. Has to be on the classic map, but there you go. Look, everybody's telling me like flip your monitor. Okay, let me flip I've got a 52-inch monitor. I'm gonna reach up and flip it over. But really interesting to see this new region of space added to the game and the 53 systems. And at some point, I'm sure we'll get it up on stream and check out what these systems look like and what it looks like.
Got it. You press unflatten and then boom.
Look at that. Dave's already figured it out. I hope that there's some kind of interaction with the rest of the game. I know segregating in a sense is we're going to call it. It sounds like, yeah. And if that's the case, no stations and no belts, it probably really limits like the resources and what you can do there. You're not going to, it's going to people are going to want to leave. But I mean, Eve has always been special. Eve's always been a special place, like in a sense where you kind of get thrown into the frying pan. And I think at some point CCP realizes that you have to move away from, you have to be more inviting to new players. And HiSec was supposed to be that, but HiSec, I mean, in all sincerity, and this is why HiSec to me, man, Dave and everybody else is confusing, is because you're not exactly sure who you can shoot. And when you start shooting them, you're like, well, other people all of a sudden can join in. Do I accept a duel? Do I not accept a duel? And when you live in low sec and you live in null sec, you just shoot everybody. You just assume, oh, everybody can shoot me and I can shoot everybody else. But high sec has so many like,
Real quick.
Yeah.
Kane, are you able to bring up a Discord stream if I put it up on the stream?
We're gonna work out some details.
It's gonna make the cameras go funky, everyone, but we're gonna get this up on here.
We're gonna get the map up for you. So if you don't have to, we can. We're going to do, this is what we do for you. We do live changes to the meta show format here. If me and Dave get squished, our heads get squished, or we go mute or whatever, it wouldn't be.
Yeah, it's up. I'm streaming it now.
Yeah, so archification. Yeah, so this was a update. I don't know. I don't see the date on the article there. It may be up there somewhere. I'm not looking at it right now. But yeah, they're already in the database, as Dr. Spobmium said. And I don't
really
think
close together.
This is going to go, you're not going to be able to go there. They're not actually in the game. I don't remember. CCP did explain.
Well, they're in the game. You can't get there. So if you look on there, that's them. Right there. So
yeah, and I also one thing of note, CCP did say that they were going to talk about this on at FanFest. They're going to have more details on it
Mm-hmm.
at FanFest. So we're just talking about what we think might happen, what we don't know, like that kind of thing.
So we've got the name of the region. I'm dyslexic and not even going to try that. Anybody want to venture a guess there? X or can't you?
dude,
Something
I
like
am
that.
terrible at calling names. Like,
Yeah. And it's got the first Accord District, second, third, and fourth Federation Free Zone, Haven, Manifest District. Does that say Stroker? Okay, and the Crucible.
there's going to be new player
Looks like
PvP and Corvettes.
they're all 1.0 systems.
That makes sense. I wonder if you're going to be able to like gank still there. Like you're going to make a new player and just live around in there and just gank other new players. Something tells me there's going to be different rules out there and you'll find yourself. Look at that. Luca, thank you for looking that up. Exordium, the beginning or an introductory part, especially of a discourse or treatise. So definitely smells like fac war, that kind of thing. Definitely smells fac worky with fac worry there. CCP has said it's all barely even begun, so don't mention anything about the systems. We're here to read too much into it. That's what we're here for today. Hopefully, like
Very
our
interesting layout. Annoyingly,
Yeah.
that name's all up in my face there, but it's just that maybe. Yeah.
we
Bear with
are
me.
we are we are greatly overthinking here. That's what we like to do. Listen, Luca, you are like the English master, or I wouldn't even say English master. Like you've got like the whole Latin breakdown of this. I love it. But Exordium names in EVE Online have meant something of systems to some degree. CCP, I saw put a post up on social media about people names and name systems and that kind of thing. So they do mean something. Pretty much sure it was all a simulation. It could be. Like what is that shape, by the way, Dave? What is that a
It's a
shape
very
of?
interesting design.
Yeah. It makes sense. Like it looks like each one of those, like what was said by
Yeah, so the
Spodmead
different
earlier.
factions.
Yeah, the different factions. And then they're gonna come together and probably fight in the middle, right? It's a PvP. There's gotta be PvP in the middle, I would think. New player Corvette brawls is what I want to see, CCP. It does look like a big crosshair. It kind of does look like a target or one of those old schooly like crosses, with the little that kind of thing. We'll get to Doomsday the system once a year. Yeah, we'll get to do AoE Doomsday the system in the game and find out, and we'll just get to like burn the new bros, which we don't want to. Why would you want to burn the new guys though in Doomsday?
It's not the new people. Burgee is more targeted at
Well,
expensive stuff.
true. I'm just talking about, we said in the chat, we get to burn this space. It's like, let the new guys learn. Let the new peeps learn.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we were talking, Dark Mage. We were talking about that earlier. We said, I wonder if it'll make all new accounts go there.
I
The
get a
game,
feeling it's where the start and the tutorial will end.
yeah, I mean, potentially, I think. So the thing is like new players, like new accounts have been like multi-boxing and that kind of thing have kind of been the bread and butter of EVE Online. And I think CCP makes a decent amount off of, to some degree, the subs of multi-boxers. For those that need to sub, I mean, plenty of them probably make it where they don't need to, but I wouldn't foresee them trying to nerf that game style because it is so prevalent in the game. I think it would be worse for the game. I don't know about you, Dave. Do you think nerfing multi-boxing would be a good idea?
No, it's a dumb idea. They would have to change every ISK faucet to be able to make that a good idea.
Yeah.
Because at the moment, the only way to plex even one account reliably in a non-giving your life to Eve way is more than.
Yeah. Does Hirebrand is the shipcaster shoots you out to a random wormhole? Are you saying like shipcasters are currently in the game? And I thought like the fac war ones, they were like faction warfare militia guys' way of. Oh, he's ship posting. Cool. I mean, I was gonna say the Fact War ones, like they're like a Titan basically. They allow them to bridge to certain systems where they have a pad ad. Um, the stream is now Blood Raider Goom. We're talking about the new systems of game. Goom, thank you for watching the stream. I did ping, so you really don't have an excuse, Goom. You're welcome to explain it. I have Spod brain because we have Dr. Spodmium here, so um, I can't. So you're welcome to explain the joke, but I feel like a joke loses its like presence or whatever if Dave is now full screen on Twitch. We just see Dave there.
Woohoo! Turn the stream down.
Bod brain is a slur. Well, I don't know if that's exactly true. I mean, it's just mineral. You've just been mining spot all day, right? That's where it comes from? But yeah, no, for those of you joining who may have been joining late, we're talking about the new region of space that CCP announced. Looks like it's going to be new player focus. Looks like it might have some faction warfare-y, as what was said earlier. It was outlawed in the 90s, of course it was. So some new player experience. It's going to involve maybe we're talking about potentially the Fact War experience where folks get to there's 4 different constellations that are faction focused, one for each faction in the game, which I feel like there's the 4 base factions, but why aren't the pirate factions as an option for new players? I want to join Angel Cartel. I want to join Garistas.
Cool being a Triglavian.
Exactly. Like, why can't I be Trig? Trig has her own part of space, but why would I not be able to choose to be a Triglavian? Come on, CCP. We all know that the factions don't really matter for a new player, and maybe they will now. Maybe they will. It'd be really interesting to see how they are. Come to Pochvin and Mind Spot with us. We're losers.
I couldn't think of anything worse.
Listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. I lived in Pochvin for a while, Highbrand, when I was in Rokapel. And I don't think there's any mining that I want to do in Pochvin. Then again, people mine in wormholes all the time, I guess, right? I don't know what people do in wormholes, and Pochvin is just like a wormhole with gates. There's no local. Undocking is for, yeah, who undocks, Dave? That's what they do in HiSec, right? Everybody just
I don't. Never heard of it. What is undocking?
All right, do we have NC dot in chat? Is that what's going on here? So anyway, so yeah, back to the HiSec stuff though. Really interesting to see what this does for new players. 53 systems seems like a lot though. Am I wrong in this, Dave? It seems like a lot of systems.
Well, when you think about it, as we saw on the map there, it was 4 outer constellations, which probably, as stated, will be the empires.
Yeah.
And then an inner ring, which will probably be for the more intermediate stuff before you get dumped out. So, like, I can imagine you'd get dumped out of the tutorial into one of those 4 outer constellations. That's where you do your whole, this is how you get in your ship. Meet your whatever the fuck contact. I can't remember the exact wording for it. And then from there you start doing missions, and then it could do a little, you're going out into more dangerous parts of space, and then you go into the inner constellation. And then if they do it right, I'd imagine it would lead you up to the shipcaster and go, continue your journey, blah, 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 through here.
Luca said, imagine being a gauntlet of 53 gate camps to do it. I mean, honestly, though, Luca, that's probably not a bad idea. That's a typical EVE experience for a lot of us, is experience your first gate camp.
I personally think that shipcaster should dump the people out into the New Eden system, right where the EVE gate is.
Isn't that low sec or null sec, though?
It's high sec.
What? So, absolute. I think that's a great point. Quiet says if they really want to make the new player experience better, they make ganking way harder to do. Quiet, I want you to come back next week for our show next week, because we're going to have some guests on, all things, assuming nothing else happens, who are going to be here to talk to us about ganking. And please come back and let them know how you feel about it and that kind of thing, because we'll be on to talk about what they do.
I'm gonna argue, if you've got a ship that's worth being ganked, you're no longer a new player. Like, you've made money and been able to get something like a mining barge or something. Welcome to Eve.
I think the only problem with that though, Dave, is from a new player experience. Like, you've saved up all this to buy your barge or whatever it may be, and when you're coming from a different game, sorry, we don't talk about poop on the stream spot, so it doesn't poop anybody anyway. But anyway, when you talk about a new player experience, people save up their money, and they're not used to Eve. People buy the one ship, and they're like, "Well, this is my ship. I'm safe in high sec with my 300 million barge. No one's gonna take 3 catalysts and kill me, or however many it takes to get me."
I kind of get that, but you would hope, 300 million is that'd be an exhumer, and one would
Yes.
hope by the time they're flying an exhumer, they would understand that there's a possibility of them dying.
Sephiroth, I'm going to tell you, and I'm glad we're talking about ganking, and those of you, we're trying to stay towards the systems here this week, but love to hear everybody talk. We're going to have some gankers on next week, because ganking still has happened. It still does take place. Every so often, the Imperium is guilty of burn Jita, right, Dave? That's their...
I haven't done it in a very long time, actually.
When was the last time burn Jita took place?
Mittens was still here.
I thought we had one like a year or two ago, but
Nope.
maybe he was still here. Anyway, but ganking still does happen. We still see it happen. We still see the new guys like in the rattlesnakes that are like 6 bill and they have officer mods. And I think that's the problem when some of these folks come from other games. They're like, I'm not going to go to the dangerous part of the game. I'm going to stay in my rattlesnake and run missions because that's what I like to do. And they want the purple mods because that's the rare stuff, right? In other games, it's like, oh, I'll be fine. And then, well, they're not. And, well, that's where we get the kill bow. Every time, Sephiroth says, every time I reinstall Eve, the default settings are a big warning jumping into any low sec systems. You have to click multiple times to do that. And that thing is dangerous. You're absolutely right. And it still does it every so often. Like if you clear your catch or whatever, and you've been playing the game for 40 years, it still warns you going into low sec. There's a lot of things it still warns you about, but folks still do it. They want to play the game. And I'm going to tell you, anybody who's worked in any kind of done any projects or corporate, whatever, people don't read emails. People aren't reading the warnings.
Oh, I just click them.
Listen,
I don't pay attention.
I agree. Dark Mage says high sec's more dangerous than null sec. Honestly, like high sec in ways is more dangerous because high sec isn't as clear what you can or cannot shoot. So,
and you never know which one of the neutrals in local is going to kill you. If you're null sec, you know that neutral might kill you.
Yeah, exactly.
Or if you're living in null sec, it should be more of a signal of you should go kill that guy.
I have 5,000 unread emails in my work email. Yeah, exactly. I have quite a few. I do have like a lot that I have to answer. That's why you set up email rules. So for those spam ones you get all the time, they just send to another box so you don't have to see them. I don't know if we can set up mail rules in EVE Online. I think we can set up rules about whatever. A new boss email straight to trash. Exactly. Emails from my Alliance executor straight to trash. No one reads EVE mails. No one should have to read email anymore. Appreciate it. Yeah, so
I do love when a meeting should be an email.
Exactly.
Have one of them in EVE.
What I'm hearing though is that the meta show should not be an email. We're going to make sure we stay live all the time. But yeah, no. So a new security system in space, and maybe that's what we'll see gets implemented with this new player system, is that there's going to be a new security system there. I'm really curious, like what mechanics does it change? Does it allow people to lock each other up in that space? Does it allow blending of factions? And will there be, I think I am going to venture to say, for the health of the game, there needs to be a timer on how long you're in this space. Like once you undock there, you can be there for 2 weeks. You have 2 weeks to kind of learn and you get the training wheels on, and then you have to go join everybody else. And Dave, I think you're in agreement on that.
Yeah, because one of the things that annoys me about EVE the most is the people that say, I just stay in like the 1.0 systems because I just like to sit here in mine. Are you playing the game? No. Yeah. You are playing AFK Simulator and ignoring like 99% of the game. Yeah. It's fine if you live in high sec but venture out. But like the people that, as I said, just sit there for the safety, you're not actually playing the game, you may as well go play like, I don't know, some idle game on your phone.
Exactly. And it, I it's hard for me to begrudge folks who just want to PvE and Eve. And that's what they want to do. They want to run level 4, level 5 missions in high sec, and that's all they want to do. I will say this. I love PvEing in most games, and I'm cool with not PvPing because I'm an old man at this point and I stink at shooters or whatever. So I'm like slower. So I'm like, I don't want to PvP because I stink at it. But in EVE Online, I have never once enjoyed PvE content. I'm going to be honest, CCP. Like, the PvE content in EVE Online is dry. I don't smell. Don't listen to Kane. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
He does.
So Kane's muted right now, so he can't even talk because I was tired of hearing my voice. Um, I will say this, like the PvE content in EVE is very dry. The only thing I enjoy that makes me ISK at this point has been FAC War, because you get ISK for blowing people up. Basically, you translate that LP into ISK. So yeah, espionage, that's a good point. PvE can be fun. Some of the events I haven't maybe engaged with them. That's on me. But generally
I enjoy
speaking,
crab beacons.
running sites. Somebody said Blood Raiders need a FAC War. Yeah, Goom, you're going to continue going down that tree, and I hope for the sake of you, one day we'll get FAC War. Somebody else said, Espionage said, imagine a type of curfew, some hours a day, no PvP. I don't necessarily know if that's a good idea. However, I have said there is a game out there. It's not EVE Online. It's what's that medieval one that some devs from EVE went and made? Somebody will say that or whatever. But it has a system where regions of the game are timed as vulnerable. So when we talk about things like SOV, you would have, instead of time locking your structures, if you live in X, Y, and Z region, you can ref Albion Online. Thank you. So Albion, like certain regions can be vulnerable to PvP and being sieged during certain times. And I've always thought that would be a creative way to combat some of the time zone tanking and stuff we see in the game. But yeah, just move there. Exactly. So Frat would live in the region of space that syncs up with their time, and that's where they would live. There would be, but it would say, and as we talked about last week on last week's show, I don't think we would see as much movement on the map. And then Eve becomes pretty stagnant, would be my fear in a system like that. But time zone taking is always a thing. Now, it would be funny in the high sec new player experience to have a curfew after X, Y, and Z time, but Eve's a 24-hour game. There's so many people from different regions of the game. It's one of the few games I feel like I've been able to interact with different people of the world more than any other game I've played, and it really stops us there.
I think we should start a like drinking game for the audience. Every time we say the words time zone tanking on this show, seems to be every week.
It does. I feel like I bring it up every week, or I tell everybody every week how much I don't like Frat. So there it is. There's another one. We should have the Meta Show sponsored drinking game. Well, who's going to sell them stuff, Dark Eye? That is a good question. I wonder if there'll be player-owned markets there. This is where, and that's a good point. And I'm curious, is the game going to this portion? Are they going to be able to bring anything with them? Because hypothetically speaking, if you're not going to have player-owned markets there, you're going to be introducing things to the game that CCP created. And well, of course, I'm sure this stuff probably doesn't have a lot of value, but EVE Online is very much so a macro game. So if you're able to bring thousands of items into the game, even if you're making pennies on something, it scales up. So I'm not an economic guy.
It may just be the way the new player missions are at the moment, where you get like a Tristan given to you and like T1 armor, shield mods and stuff. So you get handed the stuff for the missions, which it's like tens of thousands of ISK, not millions. So it wouldn't make a difference. Like the stuff that you currently get given.
Civilian shield boosters, you're absolutely right. No, but even if it's Tristan's, like Dave just said, like, right? Like you bring enough Tristans.
It's a Thrasher. But currently you get given things like a Thrasher from the starter mission. as rewards. So it could just be that you get what you would normally get now as a reward for those missions.
Yeah. No, 100%. 10,000 Tristans. If it was 10,000 Thrashers, you know what you can use Thrashers for? Are commonly used for? They are for ganking, which nobody likes gankers, right? Well, not everybody likes gankers, but
Also, I'm going to be honest.
Go ahead, Dave.
If somebody's doing the new player experience 10,000 times just to get the ships, I think they deserve them ships. Like, that is some tenacity, you know?
That is some tenacity. Goom, you skipped the new player experience. By the way, for those of you who don't know, I know Goom. Blood Raider Goom is in Sedition with me. He is a cherished member of the Alliance. He is a treasure for those of us. He's also, I think we can say this on stream. He's a weeb. He is he's our resident weeb there. He's also new to the game, right, Goom? Goom, let chat know how long you've been playing the game. How long have you played the game? And he skipped and just jumped into it. And Goom has been a pretty proficient. His first birthday, so you've been playing the game for a year. Not Goom. I don't know. Is there another? There might be another Goom out there. But he's been playing the game a year, and he just skipped the new player experience. And I'm curious, like, as how many people who just started playing the game, like, just skip the new player experience, and does this add some spice to it? I don't remember. Man, it's been long. I think
Well, it was a very different new player experience when I did it. It was 2016, so it wasn't the current new player experience, but I skipped it mainly because I was joining because a friend already played, so I just kind of skipped on forwards to the going to nullsec. I've never actually lived in highsec.
Yeah, no, when I did it, like I remember doing the you did like the Sisters of Eve, and I think they gave you an Astero, and then you blew up. And then after that, I just kind of ran into it. And unironically, I went into low sec. Goom went into low sec as a new player. I think a lot of players end up in low sec as their first, because we think low sec is like, okay, it's not as bad as null sec. That's worse, right? Honestly, low sec's probably more active when it comes to PvP than null sec. Low sec's probably more dangerous, probably the most dangerous part of EVE Online in the game for PvP is low sec. I mean, high sec's maybe a close second. Null sec is where all the Care Bears live, really.
Yeah, nullsec, there's a lot more infrastructure in place, like intel channels and standing fleets and just general people going out to kill people that come in your sphere of influence.
Yeah.
So, like, I could gate a freighter. Well, I do gate freighters around and not have an issue. Not saying you should gate freighters. Don't gate freighters, folks. Unless you're in high sec.
Yeah, Sephiroth, we talked about that earlier. I felt like it's a lot of space for a noob zone. Caviar says new systems needed because all existing systems are overpopulated. Is that a problem for those of you who have more experience in high sec? Are the high sec systems or just too many people there?
Maybe
I haven't been there.
The solution is convince those people to move their ass.
Yeah.
Because I would argue that high sec isn't overly designed for you to permanently live in. It's the starter area. You know?
I mean, Caviar saying he's joking, so clearly we missed another joke. Going over my head today. I am lost here. Like I am, not getting the jokes today. So I am so sorry.
It's to stop people from getting in their way, essentially.
Yeah. It's to give those players like a sterile space to be able to grow and learn the different mechanics in game. I'm just curious what mechanics they're going to teach there. And I'd love to hear from chat, like, what do you think is the most important thing for new players to learn when it comes to coming into EVE Online? Maybe there's a top 3 or 4 or 5 things, because while CCP added these, how to make money, I think is a great one, Goom. Well, Goom, I don't know if you're the poster child for how to make money in EVE Online, though. So how to make money, fitting a ship. I don't know if ISK fixes all the problems at EVE. I swiped my credit card when I started playing the game, and I used to feed ships all the time. And then, yeah. how to find someone to show them around the most important. You make a new character and see what happens. Like how to pay a mortgage and file taxes. Do we pay mortgage and file taxes at Eve, Dave? What is that? Nullsec?
I mean, you have to pay taxes. You don't have to file it because it follows a model from every other logical country where your tax department actually tells you how much you owe rather than you working it out when they already know.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, well, that's true. There are taxes if you go to nullsec, but I don't know how critical that is when it comes to new players. But I do like some of the ideas. New player Saber gets gate camp tutorial. I think learning basic PvP mechanics is important.
but at the end of
Like,
the day, the only way you're going to learn a lot of this stuff is from other players.
correct. And as Goom
There's
said,
only so much
networking.
we can do.
I think Goom hit the nail on the head out of all this, and I think other folks have said the same things. Is like learning, talking to new players, um, and learning like how does the game work, like, and having a group that is dedicated and has the patience to kind of guide you and teach you how the game works. And I think
Yeah,
like
much like
I know. Go ahead.
sorry, like Eve University, for instance, good example. They teach people how things work, and then a lot of nullsec groups actually have now several different teaching groups
Yeah.
that teach players how to play. Horde had one. Horde actually back in the day was actually quite good at teaching new people. Not rest in peace. Brave is really good at it as well. It's just a lot of the stuff that you need to know about the game has to be told by players because it's a lot of the nuances of how you do it. It's the sandbox.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think Sephiroth, I don't know how CCP is gonna like regulate that. As Sephiroth said, if old players can't enter this region, it'll be dysfunctional and not be helpful to new ones. So no ships will be in stock or anything. We talked about how they're going to manage markets there. I have a feeling it would be my guess that this place will be basically segregated from the rest of the game. So you're not going to be able to bring anything out of it other than whatever ship they give you. So the items will be NPC stock. They'll just have basic items, whatever you need to get through that space. And I think the part, like, as far as like letting old players go through, somebody else, Archification said we had systems for a while where players can essentially rent a set of skills. I think that's still a thing, but that
It
might
is
be
still a
why
thing.
yeah, and that might be why there's 53 systems, because there might be a system where you learn combat, there's a system where you learn mining, there's a system where you learn industry, and then there's a system where you learn whatever the heck else. Maybe there's PvP or something like that. I would be curious though, how do you teach somebody PvP if they like, what do they like put like burner missions? I think are the closest equivalent, Dave, on PvE, where like they have PvE, PvP like esque AI, but it would be hard to teach somebody PvP if there's not anybody else around.
Yeah, unless they put a low sec system in.
Yeah,
It'd be
exactly.
cool
Which,
if they had one thing that they could teach people is stuff like other mechanics like bubbles. That is a damn good thing rather than somebody just finding out that they exist.
yeah.
They could
Well,
literally have a thing where there's a bubble up and you warp into it and it's like, oh no, you're in a bubble.
here's how to manage that, and here's how it works. And teaching folks some of the basics of PvP, I think. Like, what does transversal mean? What does it mean
Mm.
to say
And
you have tackle versus hard tackle?
the stuff that, well, that bit maybe leave that to players to teach you, but things like transversal, where is something you can see in the game,
Yeah.
like explaining the velocity meters, basically explaining your overview more than red is bad, you know?
Yeah. No, 100%. And that's, we talked about 53 systems being a lot. That could be why. That could be why that CCP's objective here is to give these players the skills, the basic knowledge, the foundation, um, take it away a little bit from the players to allow people coming into the game to really experience it to a degree in a controlled environment, and then go out there and explore the game for themselves and have an idea when they get out of this space. Here's what I really want to do in this game, because this was really fun in this tutorial. CCP's already done that, right? They already have the different air missions and the different categories and that kind of thing to allow players. And I think you put them in this one system in this contained environment, and then you say, here's these air missions, complete them, and it gives people some structure. The question of the day, I don't think it is, and I think creating an overview profile or whatever and teaching people how to do that is a great way to do it as well. If this new region doesn't let new players out without big warning or canceling the tutorial and being dangerous, that would help new people not be ganked. Yeah, I think there's going to be a warning. I really believe, though, Sephiroth, that there needs to be a time limit. I think there needs to be, maybe it's 2 weeks, maybe it's a month. I don't know.
Well, there's
what
just
the answer is.
nothing you can do after a certain point. Like,
Correct. I
you
mean,
follow missions and then poof.
yeah, like
Um,
you want to
and then
have
they-
people engaging with everybody else.
yeah, and then they could have the AI person. I forgot what it's called. Turn around and give a speech about
Aurora?
how dangerous the universe is.
That's right.
By the way, I just checked my one character that's not been edited since I made it. The overview has transversal and velocity on it.
Well, there you go. So it has angular velocity and it has like transversal and stuff, right? Does
It's got
have
normal
I
velocity on
haven't-
it and transversal velocity.
I've got like 3 different columns on mine, but whatever. Transversal is important, like understanding, and it gives you the grasp of like, okay, why does a smaller ship beat a battleship or can hold a battleship and not get destroyed? Well, because the simple answer is it's transversal. And then the next thing is just as important as transversal is understanding explosion velocity and application. But we could go into a PvP class here, chat. We can do that. Next week, by the way, just a reminder, next week we're going to be talking about, we'll see. I mean, a lot can happen in the next week and our guests could have something come on, that kind of thing, where they're not going to be able to be on. But we'll have a couple folks from, hopefully, all things willing, have a couple folks on who will talk about high sec ganking. So I encourage you all to come in and, ask questions. What motivates them? Understand what motivates them. Maybe it's something you want to do. Is high sec gank. Don't knock it until you try it. Okay. It can be fun. I've never personally done it, but it could be rough. They could have things going on in their lives. I wouldn't say it like teleports you out. And maybe Dave's got a better idea there where he said it like just, you're not allowed to do anything else. And then once you hit that time limit, you basically are forced to go engage with the rest of the game. Or maybe they just have like 10 missions and that's all you can do there. And there's really nothing else. I wonder if they'll have wormholes in that new space. And maybe that's what one of the systems is it's like meant to be Pochvini, where it's like no local and it teaches you some of the wormhole stuff, things that you see. So
yeah, it would be good if they had a system that had wormhole mechanics, system where you jumped in. It's like, this is a zero security part of space. Be very careful. Blah blah blah. Talking you through the different areas.
Yeah, instead of a gate, there'd be a wormhole. And learn about mass, right? You learn about mass and how it impacts wormholes and the different classes of wormholes, maybe a little class there. But I think you got to teach just the basics. You don't get into the details. I mean, again, Eve University is a great place to try to do that. But what directs players to Eve University is the issue. And then I know Eve University's Null campus got evicted by, I forgot the name of the group that kicked them out.
Was it Frat?
It wasn't Frat. It was another. It was not Frat who kicked him out. It was some group who was just farming content, basically. I was there when it happened. I can't think of the group. I want to say Shadow Cartel, but it wasn't Shadow Cartel. It was
some bunch of assholes.
No, the name is literally on the tip of my tongue. I feel like they got banned from an AT one year. Or they got banned from AT forever, that kind of thing. And I can't remember the name of the group for the life of me. Somebody's gonna might say it in chat and be like, "Oh, that's who it was." I'm like, "Yeah, that's who it was." I'll remember it later. But yeah, so Dave, we're right about time here.
Yep.
Is there any final thoughts or anything else you want to talk about here?
No, other than we're revitalizing the stream team. If you have any skills to do with making videos or streaming, stuff like that, get in touch. We're looking for new people. We'd love some people to make YouTube videos. We'd love some people to live stream. We are sorting some things out in a much needed spring cleaning. So get in contact with one of us. Kane, I'm just about to go check that in a minute because he went upstairs to watch TV. I think he decided hot glue for the day was done. And yeah, that is pretty much it for me. What about you, Keith?
No, I don't have anything else. Should have a pretty cool episode next week. Hope that kind of thing if everything pans out. Love to hear the other side of the house. I know ganking is quite a polarizing topic for some of you, and some of you in chat were pretty amped up about it. So be excited if we can get our guests on next week to talk about mercenary work, high sec ganking, that kind of thing. We'll kind of continue on this discussion, and who knows, there might be some other crazy events that happen this week that come out. We might add that to our repertoire next week, but we'll be on at we're on 2100, right? I just remember the time that I'm on the East Coast, which is 4 p.m. Be on 2100 next Saturday, all things being said. But that's all I got, Dave.
Yep, that is all for me. So we will raid out. Ironically, I think we'll go raid Mr. Unlucky because he's streaming Eve and he's somebody I follow for some bizarre reason. But until next time, guys, it has been great.
See everybody. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.